Mr. Kamel, who heads up the European Parliament's European Conservative and Reformist Group, has years of experience in Brussels and knows the corridors of powers inside out. In his role as Brussels' most senior Conservative politician, Mr. Kamel often talks to the EU's most senior figures to discuss Brexit and other matters. Mr. Kamel helped broker David Cameron's EU renegotiation before eventually joining the Leave campaign, because he believed on balance we could forge a better future outside the bloc. Speaking to Express.co.uk, he relived the pressure Brussels mounted on Mr. Cameron while the then Prime Minister attempted to secure a new deal for Britain in 2016, which ultimately led to the EU referendum. Get a Brexit news. You will make UK sweat over Brexit deal in order to soften exit. There are a few scenarios for June side Kamel. Mr. Cameron was subject to brutally long negotiations with Brussels, and after more than 24 hours of talks that went through the night, into breakfast, then lunch and finally dinner, at 11 p.m. he finally made his announcement on his successes. Ultimately, he failed to deliver a package that excited the British public, who eventually chose to quit the EU. Mr. Kamel believes the EU will use a similar negotiating tactic, hoping to make the UK sweat and agree to softer exit terms. He said the EU is very deadline-focused when it comes to its negotiations and attempts to use them to its advantage. The next perceived Brexit deadline is June, when we can expect an EU summit for both sides to agree on a solution for the Irish border and the EU's withdrawal bill backstop to prevent a hard border on the island of Ireland. Mr. Kamel said, there are a few scenarios for June. He hinted they will most likely make Britain sweat by refusing a deal and moving the deadline to the October EU Council meeting. The EU deploy these tactics in the hope that Britain would panic at the approaching deadlines and agree to a softening of the Prime Minister's Brexit red lines. But he refused to be worried by the EU's delaying tactics and said Britain will arrive at a positive and encouraging Brexit deal. Mr. Kamel did, however, warn Remain campaigners in the House of Lords are only benefiting Brussels in their bid to force Mrs. May to stay in the customs union. By witnessing the Prime Minister's negotiating hand weakened by her own country, EU officials and leaders feel emboldened, he said. He added, people in the UK are doing the EU's work for them.